This is Andrea Askowitz of Writing Class Radio. Our submission period is now open. Send us your best personal story, 1,200 to 1,500 words on any topic. Please check our submission guidelines at writingclassradio.com. We pay. I'm Andrea Askowitz.
And I'm Allison Langer. This is Writing Class Radio. You'll hear true personal stories and learn a little bit about how to write your own stories. Together, we produce this podcast, which is equal parts heart and art. By heart, we mean the truth in a story. And by art, we mean the craft of writing. No matter what's going on in our lives, writing class is where we tell the truth. It's where we work out our shit. There's no place in the world like writing class. And we want to bring you in.
I'm so excited about today's episode because we're featuring a story by one of our students, Margery Berger. Margery has told the story on this podcast before. It was episode 46 called An Object is Not Just an Object. And on that show, she told this stunning story about her obsession with her scale. So after today, if you want more Margery Berger, and I think you will, go to episode 46. Margery's been in class with us for like 3 or 4 years. She can't quite remember, and neither can I, but it feels like it's been a long time. I am so impressed and she's like one of those students that like gets me so excited to be a teacher. Like she has every ingredient to be a great writer, except one. These are the ingredients that I think take to make her great. She's self-conscious and even like neurotically self-conscious, but I actually think that's a boon for a writer. She knows herself really well. She does her work, like she reads, she writes, she rewrites, and she has so many ideas. Like she has a stockpile of really good stories.
And she's not afraid to get vulnerable and tell the truth.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
Huge. And she's so talented. But the one thing she doesn't have is the guts to send out her stories for publication. It's weird because like, honestly, like she and I have been in like a fight for the last 2 years or so because I'm like, Margery, okay, this one's ready. Why don't you send it out? And she's like, okay, I will. And then she doesn't until she did it.
It's so good.
She sent her story out and it got published today. And that's the story we're airing today. My boyfriend said my hands are ugly and I can't get over it. And then also on today's episode, we have a little interview with Margery because we got her on the phone to talk about like what the hell is holding you back.
When we're back, you will hear Margery's story.
Hey, writers. For the last 45 years, I've been going to tennis clinics to practice forehand, backhand serves. What does this have to do with writing? Well, practice, I've learned in the last 45 years, is what it takes to get good at anything. And that's why Writing Class Radio hosts a tips clinic, a writing tips clinic. We do this every second Saturday so that we can all practice going to scene, writing like we speak, omitting needless words, everything that it takes to become great, or at least better at writing. So join us every second Saturday from 12 noon to 1 Eastern Time on Zoom. To join, go to writingclassradio.com and click the link for the tips clinic. It's $10, and believe me, it's a lot cheaper than a tennis clinic. See you there.
Hey, this is Allison, host of Writing Class Radio. I know there are many of you out there who don't have access to a writing group or someone to look over your essay or manuscript. If that's the case, I can help. I'm available to help you whip your essay into shape. I'll read through your draft, offer suggestions, line edits, and I'll spend time with you brainstorming for the best possible ending. But be prepared to answer the question, what is this story about? Because if you don't know, nobody knows. You know, sometimes it takes more than a bath or a long walk to figure this out. It takes a brutal editor who will tell you what works, what needs more explaining, and what needs to go. For more information, visit writingclassradio.com. Then email Allison at writingclassradio.com. Use the code WCR and your first 15 minutes is free. And our conversation with Margery. We're back. This is Allison Langer, and you're listening to Writing Class Radio. Here is Margery Berger with her story, My Boyfriend Said My Hands Are Ugly and I Can't Get Over It.
My boyfriend and I have been together for a year. In March, we quarantined due to COVID-19. It was just us all the time. We were getting along well until I made him watch Love is Blind, a Netflix reality show. On the show, the participants meet for dates in rooms divided by an opaque screen. The idea is that they can fall in love through conversation and then decide to get married sight unseen. I would not have fallen for David through an opaque screen. We met on a dating website. After a few texts and one phone conversation, we met in person. I liked what I saw. He was tall and his eyelashes were long and thick. He was well-dressed and I noticed his flowered socks when we sat down. I liked his style. It seemed like he liked how I looked too. His face lit up when he saw me. He said, "You look so youthful." I don't know what he had expected. I had posted current photos of myself and had not lied about my age, 61 at the time. That night, the conversation was decent, but I can't say it flowed. It's not what made me go out with him again. I went on a second date with him because I thought he was handsome. It didn't go as well. At dinner, I asked him lots of questions about his family and upbringing in his tight-knit Jewish community in Colombia. He talked a lot. I didn't. When he asked me to go out again, I said, "No, thank you." He texted me a cute multiple choice test asking why. I talked too much about myself. I talked too much about politics. Too tall, too handsome. I said all of the above. He asked if we could be friends and suggested a non-date date. We went to dinner. I had a good time, so we went on a few more non-dates to a movie and a play. I started to like him when he asked me the questions I had asked him about my parents and my kids and my marriage. And he always offered me part of his entree. Slowly, I fell in love with David. When he told me his wife left him after 25 years of marriage and then didn't say anything bad about her, I knew he had more going for him than height, eyelashes, and cute socks. During quarantine, we'd fallen into a routine that made me feel loved. He vacuumed the house a few times and didn't seem bothered when I re-vacuumed. Often, he had passion fruit popsicles delivered for me because he knew how much I loved them. When he told me he didn't have to watch soccer, he handed me the remote control. I clicked on Love is Blind. As David and I watched the couples meet each other face to face for the first time, I was nervous. My heart beat rapidly. What if they didn't like each other? I was relieved when Amber and Barnett embraced and kissed passionately the moment they met. David said, "She's really pretty." I agreed. But I thought, would Barnett have been attracted to Amber if she weren't so pretty? Would she have been attracted to him if he weren't so tall? I paused the show. I said, pretend you're a contestant and you're seeing your match for the first time. What would your deal breakers be? He said, now at 60, I don't have as many deal breakers. I find certain imperfections attractive. I was liking this answer so far. I thought about my imperfections, the spider veins on my legs, the deepening creases on my face, and even on my knees. Then he said, but when I was young, if I met someone with ugly hands, I wouldn't have been attracted to her. I went silent. I have ugly hands. David knows how I feel about them. A few months into our relationship, he asked me why I kept my nails so short and why I didn't wear nail polish. I told him that I don't like to draw attention to my hands. I don't have long, elegant fingers with pretty nails with half moons at the base. My nails are wide. No matter how often a manicurist cuts or pushes my cuticles back, my nails never grow beyond my fingertips and my hands never look sexy. My palms are wide too. A physical therapist once asked me if I had been a gymnast. She said, gymnasts have wide palms. She may as well have said, you have man hands. And now, with age, my hands are wrinkled and veiny with lots of little brown age spots. Had David forgotten how I felt about my hands, or was he trying to hurt me? I said, so if you had met me 30 years ago, you wouldn't have been attracted to me because of my hands? He said, I don't think I would have been. I slid away from him to the other end of the couch. My throat tightened and my chest felt heavy. He said, come here, give me your foot. He likes my feet. He said, really, you're mad at me? I kept my feet planted on my side of the couch. I didn't say a word. He tried to backpedal. He said, there's nothing ugly about you except your hands. That didn't make me feel any better. I can call my hands ugly, but he can't. When he said he wouldn't have been attracted to me because of my hands, I discounted his compliments about my face, my legs, and other body parts. Maybe if he didn't like my hands, he wouldn't love me. I'm no better. I have deal breakers too. I know that love really isn't blind and that I wouldn't have liked him if he were a foot shorter. When we got into bed that night, we didn't cuddle like we do on most nights. The next morning, he pulled me to him. I stiffened. He said, you're still mad? I told him what I thought everyone knows. If a woman asks a man, does my ass look fat in this dress? The answer is always no. David told me he was surprised about how upset I was. I told him I would think about how ugly my hands are every time he looks at them. He told me he loves my hands because they're part of me. I didn't believe him. Was I going to let one mean comment ruin our relationship? That felt petty, but also possible. In a perfect world, I would want love to be blind. It's not. I need my man to love every inch of my body, and if there's something he doesn't love, to keep it to himself.
This essay is great. She nails it. So good.
I loved it too. I mean, the thing I love most about it is that she is so good with scenes and description that I felt like I was watching the show with her. I felt like I was on the couch with her. I was at the manicurist with her. And she calls herself out. I'm no better, and then petty, but possible. Like, so she's not being holier than thou. She's saying, I do this shit too, but it doesn't feel good. And that's what I love the most.
Okay, because everything that you just hit, I agree. I just want to go through it as we would go through it in class. But this one it's done. Like, it is so well done. Okay, she gives us the why now so perfectly. Like, right now, she's living with David because of quarantine. They're spending all of their time together. And right now, she started watching Love is Blind. And she did this excellent thing that is so smart. It's such a smart way to get your story published, which is like she tapped into something that's going on in our culture, which is Love is Blind is this Netflix show that, so many people are watching. So she tapped into something that other people already know. That, I think, is just really brilliant. There's a lot of people who write stories about shows or whatever is going on in the culture. So she did that really well.
The only thing I will say is when she said, I need my man to be blah, 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 it didn't sound like her voice. I thought, what editor changed that word? In a perfect world, I want love to be blind. It's not. I need my man to love every inch of my body. And if there's something else he doesn't love, to keep it to himself. And I love the concept. I love the ending. It's so good.
Do you think that because you know her? Because I didn't notice it, but maybe it just doesn't ring true to her voice.
Maybe.
My man sounds a little bit modern.
And sometimes that happens when you get your stuff published And whether this is the published version or the non-published version, sometimes they change words. And like, I've read my stuff and been like, okay.
I hear you, but I thought it was really minor. And if the editor changed it, all she can say is thank you, because that's the proper response to an editor changing your words. Thank you, even if you don't like them.
But the story I love. I've heard it in different stages. And this is absolutely the best stage. And I think it's because it's been whittled down a little bit. It's been refined, but it was pretty dang good right out of the box to begin with.
I just got excited by how in the moment she was able to be. The way she described, and this gets to your point, like she cares also about looks. And she proves that in the story, because right at the beginning, she said that she wouldn't have fallen for him if she wasn't able to see him. She wouldn't have fallen for him if he were behind an opaque screen. She liked his looks, his style, and his eyelashes. And then she went on a second date with him, she said, because he's handsome. I think that there was a moment where she brought that back, because she does show us that she's more than just a shallow person. And I don't mean that with any judgment. I mean, I like beauty too. But when he talks about his ex a little bit later in the story and is vulnerable, she realized that it was more than his height and his eyelashes and his cute socks. So that was a callback. I just thought that was like such good writing. It's so controlled.
Yeah. And who isn't in love with the boyfriend by this point?
Oh, because of his adorable checkbox like list of, wait, why don't you want to go out with me? And then he's like, okay, and he'll go out with her anyway. Yeah.
And just that he's, on the couch trying to pull her in, and he's like, at 61, he doesn't have as many deal breakers, like it just, I don't know. I really liked him a lot.
The scene of them on the couch where Margery is moving over and he is like asking for her foot. And then that line, he likes my feet. I thought that was so funny. It's like, he doesn't like my hands. Oh, he likes my feet. I just love that. There's something funny going on Twitter right now where there's this one woman who's like, who hates men who only talk about themselves? And I like chimed in because it reminded me of what David did with Margery. He was just talking and talking without asking any questions. And she refers to it in the story. But then I wrote on Twitter, like, listen, a friend of mine went out with this guy and all he did was answer her questions without asking any. But the reason he did that is because he thought she wanted to know all about him for like safety reasons. Like he took it as like an interview.
Oh, that's funny.
So this guy's like, but it was like well intended. And then on the next date, he was like, he passed his interview in his mind. And then he was like, all right, let me learn all about you. And it was at that point where he took an interest in her. And that's when she realized it was more than just his height and his eyelashes. I was like, listen, we make a lot of assumptions about people.
Yeah, we do. And you know what else? If you can't insert yourself in a conversation, that's your problem. That's the way I feel. I mean, like it's a two-way street. You ask a question, somebody answers it and asks a question back. But sometimes people just keep bombing questions at you because they don't want you to ask them any questions, or they want to be able to have a reason why they don't want to go out with you again. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You can say, hey, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Get yourself in the conversation. Don't blame somebody else.
Damn. Okay. But it is sort of generally true that men monopolize conversation and don't take a huge interest in other people. And so we as women, I think, fall prey to that. And we're like, fuck that guy. All he does is talk about himself. I mean, if we're dating a man and a woman, if we're in a hetero, dating situation, or even not. So anyway, that's what was happening, I think, for Margery. And that was happening for this woman on Twitter. But yeah, it's not, we don't know.
I don't like it when you make generalizations like that about men. I don't think that's fair to them. You can't generalize. That's not nice.
Generalizations are typically not nice, but there are,
no, they're
there
not.
is some
I mean,
truth
I
to
don't
them
like it.
Sometimes.
Don't make me fight my way back. Like, why are you going to make me fight my way back and be on the defensive? Or, I mean, I'm not a man, obviously, but the men that are listening right now, they're thinking like, what the fuck? I'm not like that. Why is she saying that? So I don't think that's nice. That maybe some of the men most of the men you've met are like that, but I don't think it's fair to generalize.
Well, my point is we as humans generalize. And I also think generally, because I'm generalizing, men dominate conversations. And I think that's what was happening for Margery when she was on her date with David at first. But then he had a really good reason for it.
Maybe he was super excited to like be out with her, and he was like so excited just to blah, blah, blah. And he was nervous. So, you know, I'm so glad she did go out with him a second time. I don't know what his reason was.
He told her that he thought that was his role.
Right.
That he needed to express to her that he was a safe guy for her to go out with. I don't know. I think it's so sweet. He like changed my assumption. Don't get all biatchy on me, Allison. I'm saying I changed my assumption.
Okay, good.
But okay, that's what else do we want to say about Margery's essay that I think is the best thing ever? I freaking love it.
I don't know. Let's talk to her. Let's find out how she feels.
Hi, Margery. How do you feel getting your story published?
Well, I'm really thrilled. I was very reluctant and always very afraid to submit stories because I never felt like they were good enough or that they were done. But you all always push me, and I was afraid of you, so I did it.
Wait, can you be specific in the you?
Oh, yeah. Andrea yells at me all the time for not submitting stories. And she'll say, it's done, just send it in. And she sends me specific ideas of where to send everything. And at first, when she did it, I was stuck on writing the cover letter, the cover email. I couldn't do it. And I sent her 100 versions, and she thought that there was something wrong with me.
Didn't I send you a sort of a template?
Yes, you did. But for some reason, I couldn't use it. It was like not being able to read an instruction manual or something.
My biggest thing with the cover letter is trying to figure out what my story's about in 2 sentences.
Maybe you should read those 2 sentences because that's good. Because the cover letter that you wrote to Jeannie Ralston at Next Tribe was just excellent.
Okay, 1 second. I wrote, in my essay, my boyfriend said my hands are ugly and I can't get over it. I show what happened when I asked him what his deal breakers would be if he were a contestant on Love is Blind. When he said ugly hands, it almost ended our relationship. For me, for my boyfriend, and I think for most people, love is not blind.
Boom!
So
That's
good.
so good. That so says what the story is about. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a little bit easier too, because cold calling somebody and just sending your thing out to 10 people you have no connection to is really hard. But if you have somebody, an editor you can direct it to, is often a little bit more of a push. And because Andrea was just published in Tribe, there was a direct link, a direct connection, and a direct line right away. Like, okay, let's get them while they're hot. So I'm glad you did that.
Right. And
Great
I did say
opportunity.
my writing teacher and friend, Andrea Askowitz, suggested I submit this story to you.
Well, isn't opportunity everything? Opportunity and good writing. Boom.
I mean, editors are just people. They're looking for stories. If there's something that they like, then why wouldn't they like it again? Kind of like from that same, whatever, that same sort of pool. Although I've tried that many times. I tried that with Allison Klein at the Washington Post. She's just always like, no. She's like, I like Allison Langer stories, not yours.
Well, I tried it with the Washington Post and dropped Allison's name, and I tried it dropping Andrea's name at the Huffington Post, and they rejected me in about a minute. So,
well, you have to have a combination of forces. You have to know the right person. You have to hit them while they're open. You have to appeal to them, and then you have to have a great story. I have 2 more questions for you, Margery. How long have you been in Writing Class Radio's classes?
I thought you might ask that, and I was trying to remember, and I think it might be my 3rd year.
Okay. So, and how many stories do you have that are great? Honestly, like how many stories do you have that I think are great? Because I know you have a stockpile.
I feel that I maybe have 4 or 5 stories that I would feel comfortable sending into a publication. I have so many others that I looked on my Google document because I write in a Google Doc, and I have hundreds, and they're labeled by year. Each year I have a writing class radio file, and each year I have more words. I don't know if the words are better, but I have thousands of words in each year. So
that's awesome. I mean, what else can you ask for? I don't know. I mean, I do think it's amazing to be able to submit and get published, because there's no better feeling. You know, it tells you that something you did is good enough, and who doesn't suffer from not being good enough, right? So I think it's that part. But, you know, the contrary is true too. Like, after I send out the same piece to 15 different publications and I get rejections, it's demoralizing, and it's very hard to bounce back. Andrea, do you have any suggestions on how people would deal with that?
Have your writing teacher yell at you.
Get in a writing class. I mean, honestly, you know, I'm answering my own question, but I can tell that, like, our Tuesday class, our Thursday class, the Saturday class, like those classes, when you're in them, you're motivated and you're moving, and you fail and people go, oh, it's great. And you're like, really? Okay, let me submit it. You know, so it's that feeling of being in a class. And remember what Jerry Seinfeld said? Wasn't it Jerry Seinfeld?
He actually said, get out of class and just get on stage.
But we are on stage in writing class.
But I don't think it applies to writing. Yeah.
It was either him or somebody else said something about, like, the whole goal of being in a class is, although to learn, but it's to be motivated to show up the next time. So you're going to get pushed down by, you know, outside forces and publications and your friends and your family and everything like that. But your class is always going to pull you right back up. And that's where you want to be.
Let me ask Margery about that, because from my perspective, I've been like pushing Margery up, pushing. But maybe it's had like an inverse effect, because I just want to ask you one more time, like, why do you hesitate to send out your stories when they're so great?
Well, thank you for the compliment. And I'm not sure if it's fear of rejection. I get intimidated when I read really good personal essays that are published. And I think mine couldn't be even close to as good as that. It's not the rejection. It's just being afraid of measuring up, because I think there are so many great writers, and it's inspiring to read good writing, but it's also intimidating. I think that's what holds me back now. Before, I was like the process, like being afraid to contact the editor, being afraid to write the email. But now it's fear of being good. Like I've been trying to hone this craft, and I read what I wrote 3 or 4 years ago, and I believe that writing class has made me a much better writer. So now I'm afraid that I'm more discriminating now about my own work. So I'm scared for that reason.
Oh my God. You know who talked about that is Danny Shapiro. I think she said, you got to just be who you are right now, because down the road, of course, you hope you look back and say, God, I was such an idiot. I was so stupid, because then it shows that you've grown. But it's true. I think we all suffer from that. Yeah. Am I really in the ballpark with these people? But then you read a few bad pieces and I'm like, I'm back in.
That too. Right.
Yeah.
That too.
I thank you for that honest assessment. I wanted to ask you though, is there any part of it that has to do with, like, you know, you're writing about your boyfriend, you're writing personal stories.
Oh, yeah.
Is there that?
You know, the writing, when I get feedback in class often on something I wrote, it's so interesting how people know that I didn't say something important because I don't want to reveal it, because I don't want to be public about it. And there's a hole, there's something missing. So yes, there are a lot of things that I don't want to write because I'm afraid it could hurt people. So I don't write it.
Andrea, you've had some issues with that too, haven't you?
I've had the actual opposite experience. I cannot say enough good or bad about either of my parents. And when I don't write about them, they're like, hey, wait, What about me? And I just think, it's a very old kind of question in memoir, which is, how do you write about other people in your stories without, revealing shit about them or whatever. But that's a whole other conversation. But I know that it comes up and I get it.
And what if someone gets angry with you about something at you for something you wrote? Then what do?
You apologize.
Yeah, but they're in your story. And
there's a lot of philosophy on this. I mean, a lot of people say, my story is my story and your story is your story. And my dad actually takes that approach. So when I called my stepmother a floozy bitch in my memoir, my dad was cool about it, strangely. He was like, that's your story. I have mine. But it can get dangerous. People can really hurt people and their families. I don't know why my dad has been so easygoing, but he just is.
He's confident, maybe.
Maybe he likes that about her.
Good point. It's true. It's not like he said, hey, you got that wrong. No, that's funny.
We could just get into the mind of an adolescent boy now turned 80-something-year-old. I mean, I don't think it changes too much. And he's like, cool, I just got with the floozy bitch,
Right.
Is your dad going to listen to this podcast?
I don't know, but if he does, I'm not worried about it. He doesn't, all press is good press for him. I mean, that's just how he is.
Yeah, I don't think people are that cool in my family, but
your mom isn't. Your mom's gotten pissed.
Yeah, my mom's gotten really pissed, but we're fine. Like, we recovered.
Also, sometimes it works out. Like, I had a really nice conversation with my ex-husband after he heard something I wrote. So it can open up a conversation.
Well, that's the hope, right? Isn't that the hope in storytelling, that it opens the door for a conversation? I mean, holding it in doesn't do any good. That's not good for the relationship. Faking it. I mean, I just walk around telling all my friends my business, then I write it, I say it in class, and then I move forward, hopefully, or I just hold on to it and stress out and drive everybody crazy.
And then when they hear about it, they're like, oh, that's not new or news. Well, I just am so thrilled, Margery, that you sent your story out and that your story is now on Writing Class Radio. And I'm just so rooting for you. You're so good.
Thank you.
And the best feedback ever. She's on it.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
I think that's a sign of a really good writer.
I was taught by 2 masters. So
go on.
I believe that.
Practice. It's all practice, right? Nothing comes easy.
Yeah.
And you practice like crazy. So I'm proud of you too. And I'm proud to know you. I'm proud to be beaten in tennis by you. I'm proud to be beaten on a bike ride by you. And I'm just proud you're my friend.
And that's what Writing Class Radio does. It's amazing.
It energizes you enough to kick the teacher's ass.
Thank you, Margery Berger. And thank you for listening. This episode of Writing Class Radio is produced by Matt Kundle of Sound Off Media, Allison Langer, and me, Andrea Askowitz. Social media content is by Mia Pennekamp. Theme music is by The Amadians. Additional music by Poddington Bear. There's more Writing Class on our website, writingclassradio.com, including video classes, stories to study, and editing resources. If you love this show and enjoy all the extras on our website, hit the support us button and check out the writing classes and publishing insights we give our Patreon supporters. For $10 a month, you get an all-access pass with me. We can talk about where and how to get your stories published, like Margery did. For $25 a month, you get a writing class a week with Allison. Classes are on Tuesdays from 12 to 1 Eastern Time via Zoom. You'll write to a prompt and share what you wrote. A new episode will drop every other Wednesday, so listen for us. There's no better way to understand ourselves and each other than by writing and sharing our stories. Everyone has a story. What's yours?
Hey there, this is Todd Arkell, host of The Mental Approach. Thank you for taking the time to listen to The Mental Approach. I created this series for parents and their athletes because everyone is training their physical skills, but so few of you are training your mind. And I've assembled a cross-section of athletes and coaches as guests to provide you with inspirational stories, practical advice, and some encouragement to gain the edge you need both on and off the field of play. This show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and of course at thementalapproach.com.